and pleasure to be conducting this interview with two rising Latina stars of the motion picture industry in Canada. And would you like to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, sure. Do you want me to go? Or?
You start, Débora.
Hi, I'm Débora Demestre. I'm originally from Venezuela. I moved to Canada when I was 15 with my family. And I've been acting for a while in Toronto, and I'm one of the creators of LATINAS WANTED.
Yeah, and I am Andrea Gallo. I am also from Venezuela. However, I just moved to Toronto 6 years ago, so I'm still a newbie. I've been acting for about 3 to 4 years here in Toronto, and I'm actually a business administrator and a model. But since I landed here, I just took a change of path, new life, new career, why not? So yeah, here we are. I'm also part of Latinas Wanted, along with Débora and our co-worker Graciela, who couldn't be here with us today.
She's the third Latina missing.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, so listen, tell us about Latinas Wanted and why you set it up.
Well, you want to start? Or?
Yeah, I'll start. I'll start, and you can chip in.
For sure.
So we didn't really plan to set it up. This started with Débora actually approaching me in one of the union conferences that we had earlier in the year, and she was telling me, "Hey, listen, I know you're also an actor. I know you have an accent too." We didn't even know we were from the same country at that point. And she just wanted to have like a quick coffee or meeting to just talk about the struggles that we're facing. And I said, absolutely. So once we met, all that we wanted to do was maybe send a letter to our union, maybe just send letters to Canadian Film Center, just to be visible, just to let them know what's happening with us and how we feel we're kind of stuck. And next thing we know, we're creating a sketch series based on 6 different episodes for social media. And yeah, so set it up. I don't know how it happened, but we're happy that we did it because we think it needed to be done.
Yeah. Débora, any more comments about that? What are the aims of it?
Well, sorry, say that again?
What are the aims of Latinas Wanted?
The aim, so for me, so I don't know how Andrea felt about her accent, but I since I moved to Canada, the pounding of you have an accent, you're a foreigner, you have an accent, get rid of it, was always with me. And it just created a lot of internal problems for me. And so it was refreshing to find another person who is just like me, who has an accent, maybe sounds different than me, but English is not their first language. And so for me, it was important to get together and to put it out there. And it's because the thing is, having an accent becomes sort of like your fault, like is you're doing something wrong, you sound the wrong way, and it's all internalized. And so like sometimes I feel like I don't know if I can speak because I'm gonna sound funny. And so the fact that I met Grace and then Andrea and then the 3 of us were talking about it openly, it was refreshing. And I thought, oh, like we all thought that we should do something about it. And then what happened was also that the pandemic happened, and so everything shut down. And this project, I don't want to speak for Andrea, but saved my ass because it kept me occupied and creative and engaged. And so it was partly also to keep me out of trouble. And then finally also the aim was just to create a community. Andrea, Grace, and I created a community by chance. And so, but by creating this, we thought like maybe we'll find other people, not necessarily Latinos, because the experience is not only to Latino immigrants, but it's also to other people from all different backgrounds that move here, are immigrants, and all of a sudden they don't sound right.
Right.
But
and that's why after that we also created a Facebook page called ESL Actors Canada, because once we were speaking about it, we were like, wait a second, we can't be the only ones. So we're sure there's other people out there facing the same struggles. Let's find them. Let's hear their stories. Let's ask them so hopefully together we can make a change, right? So now we have a Facebook page. People keep asking to join. We have the sketches there, any conversation that people want to have about that. So yeah, it's like a safe place for all of us with accents to just talk about it and see how can we, I guess, override this industry standard that you're not supposed to have an accent on screen. Why not?
Yeah.
Right. So, Deborah, what are some of the challenges you face as Latina actresses?
Well, that we're only for the longest time. Well, first of all, one of the challenges is that I was constantly told, get rid of it. Like the first thing an instructor would say to me, you're working on your accent, right? You're getting rid of your accent. You know, you have an accent, that's a problem. And the same thing with agents, like, you know, oh, that's great. You have a Latino accent. That's great. But can you do the American accent, the GA? And so so that's one of the struggles, that basically you don't really want me to sound like me. Mm-hmm. Because you can't sell me. Why? Because all the parts, or most of the parts that are out there, they're mostly made, or the expectation is that yes, you might be Latino. We're not actually. There's a statistic out there that in the film industry, 18% of the population is Latino, but less than 3% is actually on TV. Like you can actually see them. Mm-hmm. And so the barrier is that there, like, even though I used to sound like something, a Spanish or Latina, and even though I had an accent, like nobody wanted to hear it, and so I'm only seen for small parts or silent on camera parts, which are called SOC, because they don't, or parts that I only speak Spanish. So it limits what I'm seen for, and also it limits how much I work, because the less I audition, the less chances I get of work.
So are you taking elocution lessons, or?
I started, for a long time, I used to take coaching. I used to have coaching for the accent, but last year I started working on my own. My partner happens to be very good with languages, and he's helped me a lot, but mostly I'm just now doing it on my own. I've also been like here for a long time, and so along the way you sort of learn that if you say it this way, people react. If you say it this way, people don't react, so say it this way.
Right. Andrea, are those the same sort of challenges that you face?
It's some sort of a catch-22 situation here, because the first challenge is to get representation, to get represented, so your agent can send you to auditions. But then if you're new, like I still consider I'm new in the country and in the industry, you don't have a lot of things in your resume. So you have agents maybe not wanting to hire you to represent you because you don't have anything to show to prove that you're a good actor. Mm-hmm. So once you find somebody, I've had 3 agents so far, and my first 2 agents, something similar to Débora, they were like, okay, well, because you have an accent, we're only going to submit you for silent on camera roles, so no speaking lines. And I said, I was new, so I was like, sure, I'll take whatever I can get. But then I learned that there's so much more than that, but I can't really even be considered because I have an accent. So I started working on it too, but like she said, it's not easy. I think the biggest misconception is people thinking, Thor, like he's Australian, and he can just talk American in the Marvel movies. So yeah, you can also do it. I wish I could. I'm working on it. I've had like several dialect coaches and enunciation workshops and stuff just to try to get better. But it might happen, it might not. Nobody knows because everybody's different. And I learned this language only 5 or 6 years ago. So it's the whole thing about finding representation. Once you have them, okay, get rid of the accent. I can't really get rid of the accent, so you only audition for a small amount of parts. And even then, when I do have something that says, a breakdown that says Latina, Hispanic, where the accent is supposed to be welcomed, I have come across with auditions where they say, oh, great, but can you sound more neutral?
Right.
But you want a Latina, and Latinas sound like me. Why? Why
Right.
do you need somebody that sounds more neutral?
And
So
on my
you-
sorry.
Right. Go on.
And on my side, like and maybe we'll talk about this, but like when I get an audition and and they say sound Latina, I'm like, what the hell does that mean? Because most people, they don't know what to do with my accent. They don't know where to place it. Like a lot of times I'm asked, are you French? And so it's like, so what do you mean? Do you want me to speak like I spoke a year or 2 years ago? Do you want me to speak like I did 10 years ago? Like what is it? I have no clue. And so sometimes I prepare an audition with like a really strong accent, and then also just with my normal talking where I'm just not, whatever comes out, comes out. And then they're like asking me, no. So sometimes they say, make it stronger because you don't sound Spanish enough, or make it like, don't do that, just be normal because that's already too much. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I usually get the too much side of it. I'm like, this is the only way I can speak.
Right. But so
I'm still working on it though. That's not an excuse to not work on it. So I continue to work on my accent. So hopefully I can offer both.
You've described very well the problems because of the accent and your Hispanic background with not applying for or getting certain parts. But presumably there are sort of stereotypical Latina roles. I don't know what they would be. And so, give us an example of those sort of roles that a typical Latina, I don't know, is it a bus driver or a school mom, or I don't know?
I think we've all seen them on screen. We have the cleaning lady, for sure, like the maid. We also have nannies, lots of nannies, or the drug cartel people. There's always like a queen of the South or a narco somewhere else. What else would you say, Débora, is like the stereotypical?
Yeah.
Roles?
Wait, hold on 1 second. Hold on. Oh my God. Oh my God, someone is knocking on the door. It's immigration!
Oh my God, we're gonna get deported!
Oh, sorry, never mind. I forgot. I'm not in the States. I'm okay. I'm not gonna be deported.
That's very good, very funny. So can you act out maybe one of these stereotypical roles? Latinas.
Simon, you're looking sexy. Oh my goodness. Don't look at Andrea. You're mine. Simon. Oye, Andrea, Simon, te voy a mandar a la mierda. Si tú sigues viendo a esa mujer, te voy a dar una cachetada que te vas a olvidar.
Andrea, speak to me.
Simon, do you have my money?
How much?
It's been 48 hours. I delivered. I'm missing the money. Where's the money?
Well, you cut the cocaine, baby.
That's not my problem. I delivered. You were supposed to give me the money. It's been 48 hours. You better get it, or you know what will happen.
Yeah, you better watch out.
What's going to happen, baby?
Oh, baby, you don't want to know. You don't want to know, because I have friends.
Something to do with cojones, my cojones.
Yeah, you don't have balls. You don't have cojones to get it done.
Okay. And what about the cleaning lady? Can you give us a bit of cleaning lady?
I actually don't think I've had one audition here in Toronto for a cleaning lady yet, thankfully. But what I see on TV is always, this always gets me, because it's always somebody trying to speak Spanish, but they don't speak Spanish completely. So you're booking something for a role that is supposed to be Hispanic, but when they're delivering their lines in Spanish, it's like an off Spanish. You can tell that's not their first language. So they sound kind of like, hola, amigo, sí, está listo el cuarto para ti. We don't speak like that.
Oh, you mean they hire white Canadian actresses to pretend to be Latina?
I'm not saying it happens in Canada, but that's what I've seen on TV. So on top of our number of auditions being limited, sometimes I see on screen somebody playing a Hispanic person or Latin person that they're not. So they're speaking they're speaking Spanish, And I can tell, like, you don't really speak that much Spanish. But it is what it is. Hopefully it'll change soon enough.
Débora, any more examples?
Yeah, Señor Simón, can I clean your desk for you? Is that okay? Like, I don't mean to interrupt your interview. I am so sorry. Is it okay if I come in and just clean your desk for you?
Yeah, well, maybe a bit later, Débora. You know, I got some important.
Okay. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll come back.
Yeah. Okay.
Always, I'm sorry, of course.
We get the idea. Always deferring. Yeah. so great. And and what about then parts? We've talked about accents, stereotypes. What about parts where you just know there's no point you going for an audition for? And I think you've got a funny example, Débora, of a Bounty or Bonti paper commercial. Have you got a clip of this?
Yeah, we can. Well, I have it's a 2-minute whole clip, so it's a bunch of stuff together. So I can play it now if that's okay.
Let's do that. That'd be fun.
All right, so let me just give me 1 second here. I set it up.
Hey, papi, when is Paulito getting out of jail? He has to make it to Dani's quinceañera?
I've been asked to play a Latina woman who doesn't say anything.
All you need to do is act like you're dancing with a snake and deliver the line, "I'll show you how I slither."
An ex-convict who doesn't say anything.
Oh my God. So your family is in the drug business?
I didn't know there could be Latinos in space.
Do you think you can get rid of your accent? So you're casting for a Hispanic woman, but she can only have a Canadian accent.
Yeah.
We're producing a sci-fi show and we're casting people who sound like us for the lead roles.
Yeah. We're talking to you, Interstellar.
You're saying that only people with American accents can sell paper towels?
Yes.
Now you know how to say about like a red-blooded, meat-eating, diesel car-driving American.
I can sell paper towels too.
Oh, I disagree. There is no one Spanish accent.
I'm Camila. Have you run out of toilet paper during the pandemic and had to use paper towel instead? I've been there, and I know how painful it can be. But, in my experience, Bonti paper towels are the best bang for your bum. Bonti treat your booty better.
This is what a Hispanic woman looks and sounds like.
Even by the age 4, you sound American?
Why is it that people on TV who look like me don't sound like me?
Viva Mexico!
Nobody's Mexican here. Thank you. Bye.
That's great. That's great.
That's great. That sums it up pretty much. That's a
really
perfect
funny.
summary.
Funny. That's really great. So yeah, we've talked about accents. I think just one more, Débora, on accents, because you put on Instagram about your accent being a weird experience. Like you refer to something to make you lose your balance. Explain that.
Yeah, and it's that thing about like I just don't know. You know what is it that makes me like it makes you question like what makes me Latina? Is it that I speak Spanish? Is it that is it my culture? Is it where I came from? Is it because the thing is like when I get an audition, one of my first thoughts is like what do they want me to sound like? And I don't know what I really don't know what I sound like anymore. And so I'm constantly asking my partner like, do I sound like her? Do I sound like him? Is that what because I don't hear it because I've been sort of for such a long time for a long time I was very resistant to losing my accent because I was like, no, you're just trying to wash me out, you're trying to erase me. And then but now what it turns out is that I'm in between the rocks. Like I don't sound quite Latina enough, and so I have to put it on. And so when I feel so like I'm sort of pretending to be Latina so that you believe me that I'm Latina, or I'm trying to get rid of it where I supposedly sound American. I hope to God that I said it right. And so it's sort of like I'm like, okay, so seriously, for every audition, it's like, is this Latina enough? It's like I don't know anymore. I just like but that is my reality, and all I want to do is I want to work.
And what about the look, the Spanish look? I mean, do they want you to have blonde hair? I mean, you've got blonde hair, Andrea.
But this just happened. This is also due to the pandemic.
Oh.
So yeah, for the longest time, I've tried to embrace the Latina look, being olive skin, dark hair color, dark eyes, dark eyebrows. Yeah, to try to embrace it so it goes with what I am, and also my natural hair color and the way I look. So I think it goes better for me. This year, because of the pandemic, the pandemic hit everybody differently. So I said, I've always wanted to dye my hair, but I've never done it because I'm afraid they'll limit the amount of work that I can get. So for example, if I'm auditioning for a period piece, something that took place in the past, there's no dye hairs or highlights in the past. So I would just miss on so many things. And I never had the gut to just go for it, because now I am not working in the industry as much as I would want to due to the pandemic. As I said, let's go for it. It's summer. It's a year that everything is just different. So let's try it out. So my agent, I asked her before, I'm like, what do you think? Should I do it? And she said, do whatever makes you happy. And I'm like, okay, that's very nice. So I went for it. And I seem to be getting more auditions, but I don't think it's matching the way I speak. So I'm getting more auditions, which is great. It's like a refreshing look also for casting directors to see, oh, yeah, she looks great. Perfect. Let's bring her in. But then maybe this doesn't really match the way I speak. So let's see how it goes. I'm just trying it out. I can always dye it back, but I decided to just go for it this year. I'll keep you posted.
If it's any comfort to you, the whole thing with accents, Margaret Thatcher, she spent years having dialect lessons, coaching lessons, so she could sound like Margaret Thatcher. Mm-hmm. She didn't speak like that at all. She was actually lower middle class kind of girl, of a shopkeeper's daughter. So she spent years on elocution, but it's painful. I can hear that, because like Deborah said, they're asking you to erase yourself.
In a way, yes. In a way, it's like they're not used to the accent. They don't want the accent to be on screen. Like, what is it about it? Does it make a bad noise, and that's why you don't want it? That's what we want to find out. So we feel there is a conversation to be had in these things, because again, most of the people that we encounter in the industry come to us saying, oh yeah, you can just speak with an American accent and you'll get more work.
Yeah.
Well, we wish it would be as easy as just saying it, but the reality is just different. So maybe there's also a little bit of misconception. I was talking to an Australian friend, actor, that he came to shoot a movie last year. So we were working on set, and I'm telling him about my struggle, and I'm asking him, because the amazing thing about him was, once they cut and the scene was done, he will go back to his thick Australian accent. And I was just amazed at how he could just go back and forth with it, because this is the only way I can speak. So I was like, wow, I'm asking him, do you have any tips? Or how can I get better? How did you do it? And he said, well, it's different because I'm imitating Americans, and I already know English. It's my mother tongue. Like, I already fully know English. I'm just imitating what I hear and go for it. Whereas you had to learn the language, and now you're trying to mimic it, but the way you speak is already kind of set in your muscles, your mouth muscles and your tongue.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I never considered that before. And then he asked me, if I asked you to do like a Colombian accent or a Mexican accent in Spanish, would that be easier for you than an American accent in English? And I said, yes, I can imitate a Colombian, a Mexican, an Argentinian,
Sure.
and probably do a better job. He's like, yeah, because that's your mother tongue. So you're just imitating them. It's easier than just switching languages.
Yeah.
So these kind of things, I think more people in the industry has to be aware of for us to stand a better chance. Also, at the same time, we will keep working on it because we all want to work. We are creative spirits, so we're in for it.
Yeah.
But it might not happen, and we need more opportunities than the ones that we're currently getting.
Right. Yeah, it's depressing to think the only Latina actress I can think of mainstream was that woman. Was it Sex and the City? No, it was the Housewives of.
Eva Longoria.
Yeah.
Right.
Eva Longoria and currently Sofia Vergara.
Right.
Who has
so Eva Longoria, she spoke with a Latina accent. They kept it.
And I feel it wasn't even that strong. Like I would say it was like a mild Latina accent. Sofia Vergara, on the other hand, that works. I think she's one in a million. She could actually play her accent very thick, and it goes well because it's a sitcom, so it goes well with the show and the dynamic of all of the characters. But that's not the common norm. That rarely happens.
Right. So there is some hope as perhaps more actresses like them become mainstream. And of course, there's some very famous Mexican, Latin film directors and actors, Banderas, etc., etc. Although he normally speaks in Spanish and it's subtitled, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, listen, we're getting near the end. So just a couple more questions. So apart from Latinas Wanted, what are you guys trying to do to create awareness in the industry about ESL actors? Débora.
Well, talking about it, like, creating, content so that we have a conversation. It does help that, the Black Lives Matter movement is happening right now. Because as, I made this comment to a friend of mine, like, for example, Grey's Anatomy, for the longest time, from the beginning until the 8th season, whatever, it was mostly white actors with a sprinkle of Black and Asian and a little bit of Spanish here and there. It's nice. But then after that, it's, after, a while after that, it becomes like where for every scene, there is a Black actor in it. And then the question is like, well, why wasn't it like that before? Like, why it was all white? Like, what was the reason? And the reason, it was just like, I don't know, maybe there was blindness or whatever. And so as, as Black people get represented, I think it opens the door for a lot of us. Because the thing is that we don't all sound the same and we don't all look the same. And immigration is spread wide across the world. There's immigrants everywhere, and they're all, there's always this feeling of being erased. And so talking about it, we're hoping to do more interviews, and we're trying to work with our union, and yeah, that's what we're doing.
Stand-up Andrea.
We're trying to reach our local organizations like the union and the Canadian Film Center and all of that, to maybe come in for just a meeting or just a chat, let them know what's happening, and hopefully they can help us promote that. There's also a committee in our union called ACTRA Diversity Committee. We're trying to reach to them in hopes they can help us spread the word, because that's what they're doing, right? That's what they're supposed to be here for, diversity. But nowadays, diversity only means how you look on screen, not the way you speak. And it shouldn't be like that.
Mm-hmm. And presumably you have no desire, because there are, of course, a lot of Mexican and Spanish, like soap operas endlessly on Spanish television. You don't want to do that.
I mean, I grew up watching soap operas. I would love to be in a telenovela. That's who I am. I am over the top. I am feisty. I'm sassy. I would love to be the villain in a telenovela. That would be great.
I can see it. I can see it.
Okay, so maybe I need to reach to Univision Mexico or something, like, guys, book me. I'm the next one. I'm your next star.
Yeah, not a bad idea. What about Débora? You
Do I want to be in a soap opera? Sure, like absolutely.
But do you ever go up for those?
No, I think those are filmed most. I think I guess they must be filmed in Mexico or where are they filmed, Andrea? Like in
they film, mostly Mexico, Colombia, Miami to like Florida. But here in Canada, we don't really get casting calls for soap operas because that's not what's
not what on
their biggest
on television.
It's more TV series and movies.
Right. So you've talked about creating awareness, and on the other side, what needs to change in the industry?
What needs to change? I guess more tolerance.
Yeah.
Because we feel that what they don't like about the way we sound is that annoys them. That's what we feel. Maybe we're wrong, but if we are right, it shouldn't be that way. Why is it that a different sound when somebody's speaking to you makes you uncomfortable?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Yeah. So more tolerance. And not only for Latinas. I mean, we're talking about Hispanic and Latin people because we three are Latinas, but tell me how many people on screen you see with a different accent except British.
Right.
It shouldn't be that way. So more acceptance.
We're lucky. We British. We're lucky.
Yeah, you are, Simon.
Much in demand.
That's right. Yeah.
You are a lucky one.
Yeah, and it's just sort of this. So it's just sort of like an opening of the eyes. Yeah. I think that's. I don't know if there's. Maybe also parts are not written for people of different backgrounds. Like everybody's born in somehow and in the States, or they're born in the US and they're mostly white. And like, for example, so the woman that played Uhura in Star Trek, her name is Nichelle Nichols. So she, after the first season, she wanted to go and do a play and just leave Star Trek. And then she happened to meet with Dr. Martin Luther King, and he said to her, "No, you can't leave. We need to see you on TV." And it was so important to see a Black woman during the 1960s on TV. And it inspires people. And he said, "Oh, so Black people, everybody can go to space. Latinos are still waiting to go to space." Like if you
one of our sketches is about that. Like, how come in all of the sci-fi shows, post-apocalypses, in the future, there's no Latinos? What, we didn't make it? Did we all die after the apocalypse? But how come we never made it?
Yeah, and it's sort of like a blindness of like, no, and then not only that, but it's also how we're portrayed on TV, like, and in the news media, like everybody is an immigrant, everybody doesn't have their papers. They're gonna get, that's constantly like.
Have you got your papers, by the way? Have you just make sure that
we do have papers? We're both Canadian citizens.
But like, but it's that idea that we're the other and we're here to take what's yours. And so, and that, and it's sold politically and it's sold as a way to create difference, but we're in the pot. We're part of it. So why cannot we be seen? And it's important that we be seen, that we be heard. So
presumably there's some, if you're thinking of advertising and going in for parts of ads, TV ads, there are some products that are very heavily weighted towards Hispanic audience. You think of Goya. Other parts that you go for that are Spanish oriented products, or
not here, right? Not in Canada. I think we are in the North American hub.
Right.
So it's I'm trying to think if I've gone for something very specific.
Yeah, the snow is white, the people are white, etc.
Have you gone for any commercials or something that is for a product like a targeted to Hispanic people? Which
Yeah.
one? Which one?
So it was a laundry detergent, and it was gonna be for, and I said it was for the state. Also insurance that was gonna go specifically sold to the Latino community. And I don't remember which state in particular. So I have gone, and I did years ago. I did.
Give us your Hispanic laundry detergent ad.
Pardon?
Give us your Hispanic laundry detergent ad.
Oh my God, no! I this was an audition. This was years ago. I don't remember.
Oh.
Like, I don't even.
Simon. It most likely was silent on camera.
No, this one had lines. But the worst part is that they give us the line in English, like to say them, right? And sometimes I don't know who translates stuff to Spanish, because it sounds like
only use
Google Translate, and it's like terrible. And so you sound like a machine. But you have to do it because you're not there to correct them, right? And then they said, "Oh, can you do it in Spanish now?" And so like you have to like all of a sudden translate everything into Spanish.
Right.
So it's a weird. I've gone to auditions where the reader thinks that he speaks Spanish and he starts mumbling lines, and it's more confusing. Like I wish that we just said it in English, because it was like. It's like when I sometimes think I speak French, but in reality I don't. And so it's useless for me to blur it out. I'm not helping anybody. Nobody's understanding me. I'm just creating confusion.
Right. So of course the big question is, you talked about the industry, what needs to change, more tolerance. The question is, will it change before your hair has turned white?
We hope so. We definitely hope so.
And you've got wrinkles everywhere.
We will keep trying, and we will work hard for it, because we think everybody deserves a chance. And you mentioned wrinkles now. So one of the good things about acting is you don't need to be young and pretty to be a good actor.
Yeah.
So maybe by the time we're 50, hopefully I'm wrong, it'll be before that, but maybe the industry will have changed enough to have more people on screen. And even if it doesn't happen in our generation, I hope we at least pave the path for the next generation of, ethnic actors to come. So maybe they have it a little bit easier than us. Mm-hmm. So if we can at least contribute a little bit, that's all we want. Mm-hmm. And if we can get work on top of that, that would be ideal.
Right.
Yeah, and not only that, like I honestly whether it changes or not, that's not in my power. But what has been interesting is that this has been so helpful to me. Like I have a small community of 3 people that that I can talk to, and that we're going through the same thing. We all speak in a different way, but that I'm not alone with this. And it has been fun to do this, and I want to continue doing this, because I don't know, it's
my thought is that you just bypass the whole industry and you make this super smash hit stand-up comedy, a Spanish Hispanic Fleabag kind of story. I mean, the skits you had, the clips were hilarious, I'd go and see that.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I never have created anything before, and I don't know how you felt about it, Andrea, but like the idea of creating my own stuff, it always felt so overwhelming. And like, how? I don't even know how. And it just, the thing is, it didn't matter. Like when this, in a way, the pandemic helped us a lot, because there was no option of getting crew or getting money or there was nothing. And so it became about the message and all that, even though we exaggerated the sketches in order to be funny, like all the sketches are based on stuff that we have experienced, and it's just about the message, and that was enough. And so maybe the next step is just to actually get some money.
Yeah, because I think that they're really, really, really funny, and they'd have an audience, you know, maybe starting as, you know, the Three Latinas stand-up comedy show, you know, and go from there. Anyway, it's time's up, I think, but it's been great hanging out with you.
Likewise.
Thank you,
so
And I
Simon.
can't wait to see your names up in lights, and I'll be able to say, yeah, you know, I was the first person that really took them seriously.
Thank you
That
so
would be great, Simon. We appreciate it. We appreciate
Okay.
you taking the
No, it's
time
it's
to do this.
my pleasure. Muchas gracias.
Nada, que tengas buen
De
tiempo.
nada.
Yeah, adios.
Bye-bye,
Hasta
Simon.
luego.
Hasta luego. Hasta luego.
Chao.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.